Spring is in the air here in Melbourne, Australia. So much has changed since the last garden tour I gave you just 4 weeks ago. The first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to our new babies. We have 4 new garden beds. 2 are set up, ready to go and already growing. And the other 2 are still under construction, but so close to being finished. And they are going to be filled up with soil within the next 2 to 3 days. Then I'm going to take you through and show you everything that is growing beautifully right now, all the foods that we are enjoying from the garden as we speak. Plus all our seedlings that we have grown from seed that are ready to get in the ground this month. Summer veggies will come, summer veggies will come. At the end, I'm going to give you a list of the things that you can plant in your garden right now in October in Melbourne, Australia, or anywhere else that has a similar climate to here. And finally, at the very end of this video, I'm going to tell you about something new that I'm growing that is going to change my life considerably. By the end of this video, I would say there is a high likelihood you will have guessed it yourself. Before we get going, I do a full vegetable garden tour every month, and in between I'm out and about checking out other people's gardens and teaching you everything that I learn along the way. So hit subscribe if you want to follow along our journey. If you've got any questions, anything in particular you want to learn about, leave us a comment. Let's move on. So welcome to my new food cubes. These are 2 new garden beds. These are the Food Cube Slims that have just been installed. These beds you will have been introduced to before when I did a tour of the Melbourne Sky Farm and when I also did a tour of the Maralinga Community Garden. The team at Biofilter have been kind enough to come and set these up for me. I'll just give you a really quick run through because we will do a separate video just on these beds. But they basically, you water them from here, the water goes down to the bottom and then wicks upwards. That means you can leave it for a week or so at a time without watering it. It's supposed to be much more efficient and things are supposed to grow really quickly in here. So does it work so far? Well, yeah, things are so far growing really quickly in here. So these were planted probably 2 weeks ago from seedlings. I've got endive here, red butter lettuce here. These are both seedlings that I purchased from QP Seedlings. These ones are purple beans and green beans that I've grown from seed. If you have a look, the flowers turn into beans. This bean so far is not purple, it's green. So I hope it turns purple eventually. I didn't plant many purple seedlings, but then now I love the idea, so I've stuck another seed in there, and that has since sprouted. What have we got over here? I've got a tomato plant in, which I got in quite early just as a test because the weather was so warm. So that is one that I've grown from seed. And down here I have some watercress and some basil. So basil tends to grow quite well with tomato. Watercress should stay very low to the ground, which shouldn't hamper the tomato's sun. Tomato and beans, do they grow well together? I think they should be okay together because these should stay fairly short and this one should get fairly tall. But time will tell. Beans here as well. I thought I had planted these seeds way too early. I forgot how quickly beans grow and they just shot up. But now I'm actually really glad because the weather has been so warm. It's actually good weather for them. So that's pretty exciting. Over here I've got some cos lettuce and some rocket. My plan for these 2 food cube beds is actually to become the kids' sort of snack haven because it's in an area, I've got the grass here where they play. It's very close to where they are all the time. The trampoline's just here. So I want this to be the spot where they can just go and get a snack any time of the day or night, help themselves to all the food that they can eat. So things that at the moment I've got lots of lettuces in here. Once my new beds up here are done, because they're a bit further away, a bit less accessible, I'm going to put things like lettuces up there, things that require harvesting and a bit of preparation before you eat them. So things I'm going to put in here include things like beans, capsicums. I've got some apple cucumbers growing, which are little small cucumbers. I've got cucamelon seedlings growing. That's my goal for here. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's go up the stairs and show you what's up here. How good is this? Still a work in progress, but the beds are done. So my father-in-law Rod has built these out of timber. You can see he's lined the inside with a thick plastic. That's to try and sort of prevent the wood from rotting. In there so far I've got wood, sticks, leaves, compost, garden clippings, things that need a lot of time to break down, so compost that's not yet fully decomposed. This one is a lot shallower, so for taller plants like tomatoes, etc., will probably go in the back here. And the last thing that needs to happen is this. It's going to go around the edge to make a nice little edging. It'll be the same as Mary and Rod's beds at their house, so I'll put a link in the description to a full tour I did of Nonna and Pa's garden. They have got exactly the same garden beds. Rod is hoping to finish the edges tomorrow, and then we'll get them filled up this week. Because this is further away from everything else and it's up away from where the kids play, things I will put up here include your lettuces, your bigger tomatoes, those sorts of things that you sort of would probably be more inclined to cook before you eat. These are two of my berry plants. I've got raspberries there, and what's the other berry plant? Thornless blackberries. So these are getting lots of new growth. Also up here I have my Brussels sprouts. So I originally planted like 6 Brussels sprouts plants. Most of them got eaten by pests. This is the last man standing that I had sort of given up on for a while. I can't imagine this plant is going to get any better in the coming weeks and months because it's too warm probably now for Brussels sprouts, but I'm not going to give up on it yet because they're still tiny. It's hard to tell, but let me put my hand in there for size comparison. They are tiny, tiny Brussels sprouts. Excuse my ugly nails. Except perhaps for the little ones down the bottom. I would definitely eat those. But were they worth all this growing and watering? Not so sure. These snow peas here have been a big success. This is proof that you should never give up. My first lot of snow peas this season I had in a pot that was actually bigger than this one, and they all died for some reason. I think they got some kind of fungal thing. I tried a second lot up the top there, but I have had to pull them out just as they started producing to make way for our new beds, which is well and truly worth it. These ones I just stuck in as seeds, not expecting anything, and also wondering if maybe it was too late in the season to get them going. Absolutely hasn't been. These are so yummy, and they're now starting to produce a lot of snow peas. Got my red amaranth here. I started this red amaranth inside in my hydroponic setup from Gatherer, the Eco Kitchen. That is now doing really well outside and growing much bigger. These are all my naturally seeded tomatoes, which are happy as Larry. I'm probably going to have to thin these out. I'll probably take that one out, that one out. You know what? I'll probably actually transplant that to a bigger pot because as I transition into my garden beds, I'm going to be doing less and less in pots that size. They just dry out too quickly. Now check out these broad beans. I had nearly given up on these broad beans. I had all these beautiful flowers that started to die, and being the first time that I'm growing broad beans, I didn't realize that's exactly what's supposed to happen. My in-laws are usually the superstars of broad beans, and they had to pull theirs out because it got too late in the season and they just hadn't been producing. But they were around yesterday and told me the flowers dying are actually a great thing. If you have a look in there, they are broad beans popping through. The flowers die before the broad beans pop through. So I have renewed hope now that I actually will get some produce from these plants before I have to pull them out. My very first broad bean of the season. So I have planted strawberries in here. They will spread quite a bit over time, assuming they grow well. So my goal is to actually pull my celery out long term, but for now they're not bothering the strawberries because I put them at the back, therefore they won't block the sun. Strawberries need a lot of sun and a lot of fertilizer. I've left these 2 berries on. These were already growing by the time we got there, just sort of for the kids to, I guess, get excited, but they don't look particularly good quality. I've chopped all my other strawberry flowers off intentionally because in the early days that enables the leaves just to get bigger and stronger and the plants to get bigger so that later on in the season you can get more strawberries. So I've got some in here. This will eventually be a full strawberry patch is my plan once I pull the celery out. I'm also testing some in my veggie pod. So the reason it's testing is because I keep this covered at the moment. I've got lots of different things in my veggie pod, including strawberries. So long term, this isn't going to stay like this. If the strawberries work well in here, I would love to turn this into a berry patch. but I'm not sure they will because they're not going to get pollinated. I have heard and read very mixed things about whether strawberries need to be pollinated by bees. They do need pollination. Apparently they can get pollinated quite well in the wind. That being said, they don't get a lot of wind under here. So we'll just see how they go. So while we're here, let's talk about what else is happening in here. We've got some little red lettuce seedlings. We've got some watercress here, which I planted from seed. First time growing watercress. I'm trialing that in a couple of different locations. More watercress. These are spring onions. Here we've got some Tuscan kale and some more Tuscan kale here and some green beans at the back. Yes, this is very random, this patch. And parsley and rocket. So the parsley will get too big. This will not stay like this. This is all just an experiment. The beans are probably going to need more sun, and the Tuscan kale is probably going to block it. So I'm probably going to have to move the Tuscan kale up the back once the new beds are set up. So lots of this I will have to relocate and pull out as it gets bigger. This is a total mismatch. I am about to harvest a whole lot of this purple kale today, and I'm going to make a purple kale and quinoa salad. So I reckon that'll probably be the last of it. The pests have largely been leaving my garden alone for quite a long time, but something got at it here, and I actually don't know what that is. But some of these have tried to start going to seed, so time to chop them off, enjoy it, and pop something else in there, I think. My sage over here is also getting a bit bigger and stronger. I've just started cooking with sage. I was watching MasterChef a few days ago, and they did this yummy sage and butter pasta sauce, like a burnt butter, an almost burnt butter with sage in it, just on pasta with a bit of salt and lemon. Oh my God, I tried it. It was so good, and it took no time at all to cook. These are my capsicum plants from last year that I've cut back that are starting to grow again. I'm contemplating actually putting some of these capsicum plants in my new beds over there. Once the salad comes out, I think I probably will. Rocket, I've harvested this heaps of times, keeps growing back. I think that is rocket going to seed, is it perhaps? Or is that a weed in there? Don't know. Oh no, that is definitely rocket going to seed. There you go. My lettuce has been giving me so much joy. So much lettuce has been growing. Been loving it. I did read that the sort of bunching lettuce heads are less great in the summer. So if you're looking for lettuce varieties to grow in the summer, you're much better to go the sort of loose leaf varieties where you can pick off the leaves. Is that true? Yeah, probably. So this is one of the bunching lettuces, and yeah, it probably struggles a bit more in the heat. My spinach. More lettuce. More lettuce. Purple carrots that you've seen before. Chloe's still loving them. They just keep going. There's not too many purple carrots left. We harvest 1 or 2 a day. Chloe snacks on them. And even more lettuce over here. I will eventually pull out this bed, and I may or may not save all these tomatoes that are growing naturally in there, all self-seeded from the compost. Tomatoes, tomatoes, tomatoes. They say good compost, the seeds won't survive. In a good compost, well, the seeds survive my compost, and my plants also thrive. So define good compost, hey? So down here I've just got a bunch of different salad punnets that I've grown from seed. Mixed lettuce leaves here. Rocket, which looks very sad. And endive on the other side. Lettuce needs a lot of water, so I find putting them in a container like this, which actually does keep a bit of water down the bottom, works quite well for them. Our lemon and lime trees are looking really happy at the moment. If you saw any of my earlier videos, we've really struggled with these trees. I was convinced that lemon and lime trees didn't grow well in pots, that was the problem. It probably is part of the problem, but I think the biggest difference that we have really made here is just to start frequently giving them a citrus fertilizer, just a liquid citrus fertilizer that we bought from Bunnings. I'm going to take you over to the greenhouse next and show you how all the seedlings are going and show you the seedlings you can be planting right now. But before I do, you guys know that I love introducing you to small local businesses who are doing really cool things in the growing space. I have a group I want to introduce you to called Plant Tag ID. So they are based in Brizzy, and they produce these plant tags. So they're made of a really sturdy plastic. They're big and bold. So these would be perfect for maybe someone who is a little bit older, maybe someone whose eyesight isn't great. If you are the type of person to plant something and you forget what you've planted and how to look after it, you can get something generic like this, or you can write what it is and then also write instructions. And you know that once in there, that is going to be protected from the rain and the wind, and that ain't going to break. You can use that again and again and again. Seedling time. Let me take you through what is growing. Now, pretty much all of these seedlings can be planted in the garden in October. A lot of these, like tomatoes, you would traditionally wait until Cup Day, but because it is a warmer season this year, October should be fine for tomatoes. Just keep an eye on any risk of frost and protect them if there's any risk of frost. Oh my goodness, what have I seen here? Look at this. I think they're flower buds. Wowzers. It has been so warm here that they're already getting flower buds, and they are seriously aren't growing their pots. So as I've probably told you before, we're growing heaps of things from seed for our Kindy fundraiser this year. I will keep some of them for my own garden, absolutely. So tomatoes, lots of different varieties. More tomatoes there. These are cucumbers, they're capsicum. Capsicum, more tomatoes, more tomatoes, more tomatoes. Basil, lots of baby basils growing. A small sweet capsicum down the back there. They're the ones the kids love eating, small sweet capsicum. Over here, I've got a whole lot of newly sprouted green beans and purple beans. Newly sprouted because the ones I'd originally planted grew too quickly. Look, they're already growing beans. I love it. Careful with those, sausage. More basil. What's that? Cucumber, Space Master cucumber. Mama. Down here, we've got zucchini. It's already trying to flower. This is such a confused season. My zucchini is already trying to flower. I think I'm supposed to pinch off those flowers so the plant can focus on growing actual plants. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I love that. And another zucchini down there. And I've recently planted some more zucchini seeds upstairs. So here's our madhouse upstairs. More tomatoes growing that are all looking like they're getting a little bit too big for their pots. Melon, baby golden watermelon here. Got to be really careful of the aphids up here because once they're in, they take over. There's chili over there. Green apple cucumber here. So that's one of those ones I'm going to plant in my food cube. These ones all actually, I thought, died. They looked completely dead yesterday because they dried out. I really need to transplant them. I gave them some water and they've perked up. So any of the seedlings that I have just mentioned, either up here or downstairs, they can all technically go into your garden this month. In terms of seeds that you could stick in the ground right now, there are so many possibilities, but here are just a few. You could stick zucchini seeds in right now, cucumber, lettuce, carrots. They're purple carrots, our favourite, but any type of carrot, leek, beans, beetroot, just to give you a little snapshot of the possibilities. Now, have you guessed the new thing that I'm growing that is going to change my life drastically? A little bit rounder, a little bit fatter, a lot hungrier. We are going round 3. This is our rainbow baby. We are excited and also a little bit nervous about adding to the chaos, but I love a bit of chaos. Some of you did notice that my last video was delayed. So my September garden tour, I didn't post until the 8th of September. Usually I try and get it up on 1st or 2nd or 3rd of the month. That's because I was feeling really, really rotten. First trimester was a bit of a shocker. I was quite nauseous. Very little uploaded that month. I'm now in the 2nd trimester and feeling fantastic. So those of you that are interested, you'll get a little bump progression month on month with my future videos. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. My dad said he wasn't going to do that because he didn't want to be charged. It doesn't cost you anything. It just means YouTube knows what sorts of videos you're interested in. There's one thing that you do today, go and watch another video. The playlist that has just popped up that is all of my garden tours. Or if you head to my playlist, you can find my vegetable gardening vlog, a whole lot of other tips through there that you might enjoy as well. Happy gardening.